Hello guys, my name is Prince and this is Math Center. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos. Post your comments and questions on my social media handles and I'll respond to it. The topic we are treating today is algebraic expressions. In the previous video, we learned how to factorize quadratic trinomials and we took some examples on it. In this video, we are going to continue solving examples on quadratic trinomials. So we begin with the fourth example. We have x squared plus 2x plus 1 and we are being told to factorize this trinomial. Just as we did in the previous video, we know that if you want to factorize a quadratic trinomial, the first thing that you have to do is to multiply the coefficient of the quadratic term, which in this case is the x squared, and we know is 1, with the constant, which is plus 1 in this case. So we are multiplying a by c. So in this example, 1 will be our a, 2 will be our b, and 1 will be our c. So you multiply a by c. So you are going to multiply 1 by 1, and we know that that is 1. So we are looking for two numbers that when you multiply, you get 1. When you add, you are going to get 2. You will get that from the factors of 1. And we know that the factors of 1, there's only one factor of 1, which is 1 itself. So the two numbers we are looking for are 1 and 1. Because if you multiply 1 by 1, you are going to get 1. If you add 1 to 1, you are going to get 2. So as soon as you find that, you replace 2 here with 1 and 1. So we have 1s and 1s. We know that 1s is the same as x. So you put the brackets around it and you factorize. So here you factorize x out. We are going to get x out, x plus 1 in one bracket, then plus, we have s plus 1 in the other bracket. So you can see from here that s plus 1 is here, s plus 1 is here. So you pick one of them. We have x and plus 1 outside the bracket, so you pick those ones and you put them also in the bracket. So first you pick x plus 1 outside the bracket, then s plus 1 here, s plus 1 there. You pick one of them. So you are going to have s plus 1 in one bracket, s plus 1 in the other bracket. Let's continue with the next example. 3x squared minus 10x minus 13x plus 10. So 3 will be a, minus 13 will be b, and 10 will be c. So you multiply a by c. So you are going to have 3 times 10, and we know that that is going to give us 30. So we are looking for two numbers that when you multiply, you get 30, but when you add, you are going to get minus 13. And we say that you will find those two numbers from the factors of 30. We know that the factors of 30 are 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, and 30. So you look through this and you will see from here that when you multiply 3 by 10, you are going to get, when you multiply 3 by 10, you are going to get 30. When you add 3 to 10, you are going to get 13. So you pick those two numbers, 3 and 10. But you can see from here that when you multiply them, you should get 30. When you multiply, you are getting 30, so that is right. But when you add them, you should get minus 13. But when you add 3 to 10, we are getting my plus 13. So it means that we have to negate both of them. So you negate 3, you negate 10. Remember, when you multiply negative 3 by negative 10, you are getting positive 30. So that will satisfy that condition. When you add negative 3 to negative 10, you are going to get negative 13. So that will also satisfy this condition. So the two numbers we are looking for are negative 3 and negative 10. Now, as soon as you find that, you are going to replace negative 13 here with negative 3 and negative 10. So you are going to have 3x squared minus 3x minus 10x plus 10. Then you continue with the factorization. So here we factorize 3x out. So you factorize 3x out, you have x minus 1 in the bracket. Then when you come here, you factorize 10 out. Now remember that when you were studying factorization of algebraic expressions, I said that whenever you have a negative sign outside the bracket and you factorize something out, if the sign in the bracket is positive, it changes to negative. If that sign is negative, it changes to positive. So here we have a negative sign outside the bracket. We factorize 10 out. The sign inside the bracket was positive, so it's going to change to a negative sign. So you can see from here that we have -1 in this bracket. We also have -1 in that bracket. So you pick one of them, then you pick 3x and -10 in another bracket. So 3x minus 10 in one bracket, then x minus 1 in another bracket. Then you move on to the next example. This looks quite different, right? We have 3x squared plus 7sy minus 6y squared. So you can see from here that we have two quadratic terms. Now this changes nothing. Solve it just as we will do when we are solving the previous ones. So in this case, 3 will be our A, 7 will be our B, and -6 will be our C. So you multiply A by C. If you multiply A by C, in this case, you are going to get 3 times -16. You are going to get -6. You are going to get -18. Now we are looking for two numbers that when you multiply, you get -18, but when you add them, you are going to get +7. You will get those two numbers from the factors of 18. So we begin by listing the factors of 18, and we know that they are 1, 2, factors of 18, 1, 2, 3, 6, sorry. So 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. Now when you look through this, you can see that if you pick 2 and 9, you multiply them, you get 18. When you subtract 2 from 9, you are going to get 7. So those two numbers you're looking for are 9 and 2. But as we can see from here, when you multiply them, you should get -18. When you add them, you should get 7, which means that we have to negate 2, because if you negate 2, we are going to have 9 minus 2 will give us 7. 9 times -2 will give us -18. So you have found those two numbers to be 9 and 2. So we are going to replace 7 here with 9 and 2. So we are going to have 3x squared plus 9xy plus 9xy minus 2xy minus 6y squared. So we have just replaced 7xy with 9xy and minus 2xy. You proceed to simplify from here. So you put the brackets around it. Here the common factor we have are 3x. So 3x will come out. Then we have x plus 3y in this bracket. Then here the common factor will be minus 2y. So minus 2y will come out. We have x plus 3y in this bracket. If you watch the video on factorization of algebraic expressions, you understand how we are doing these factorizations. So we can see from here that we have x plus 3y in this bracket, x plus 3y in this bracket. They are the same. So you pick one of them, then you pick 3x and minus 2y in another bracket. So you have 3x minus 2y in one bracket, x plus 3y in the other bracket. Let's take the last example. We have 2a squared minus ab minus 3b squared. So we can see from here that the coefficient of ab here will be 1. So 2 will be a, 1 will be b, and -3 will be c. So we have a being 2, -1 b, and -3 will be c. So you multiply a by c. So we multiply 2 by -3, and we are getting -6. If you multiply 2 by -3, we are getting -6. Now we are looking at two numbers that when you multiply, you get -6. When you add, you are going to get -1. And we are going to get those two numbers from the factors of 6. We know the factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. Now, when we look at this very carefully, we know that if you pick 2 and 3, now when you multiply them, you get 6. When you subtract 2 from 3, you are going to get 1. So we can change one of these such that it fits what we want. We want two numbers that when you multiply them, you are going to get -6. When you add, you are going to get -1. Which means that if you negate 3, that is, we have 2 and -3. When you multiply them, you are going to get -6. When you add them, you are going to get 2 minus 3, which is -1. So we are now changing it to fit what we want. As soon as you have 2 and -3, you replace them. You replace negative AB here, or -1 AB here, with 2 and -3. So you're going to have 2a squared plus 2ab, which is for the 2 here, then minus 3ab, which is for the -3 here, then minus b squared comes as the final term. You proceed to simplify from here. So you put the brackets around it. Here we factorize 2a out. We are going to get into brackets 2a into bracket a plus b. Remember, there's a negative sign here. So as soon as you factorize something out, the sign in the bracket, which is negative, must change to positive. So here we factorize 3b out, since it's the common thing here. So you factorize 3b out. You're going to get a plus b. Once again, the sign is changing because we have a negative sign in front of the bracket. As I said, if you have a negative sign in front of the bracket and you factorize something out, the sign between the terms in the bracket, if that sign is positive, it changes to negative. If it's negative, it changes to positive, as we have here. So we have a plus b in this bracket. You also have a plus b in that bracket. So you pick one of them, then you pick 2a minus 3b, and you put them in another bracket. Thank you very much for watching this video on factorizations of quadratic trinomials. We could see from these two videos that you've watched, this video and the previous one, that the main thing when factorizing a quadratic trinomial is finding the two numbers that you replace the b with. Now, in the next video, I'm going to show you a trick how to use your calculator to generate those two numbers. See you and bye-bye.